Rejection sucks. There's no other way to say it. So what I want to do is I want to give you some tips on how to bounce back from rejection. It's Renee Slansky. I'm a professional dating and relationship coach, and I help women from around the world build the relationship they desire and deserve. And yes, I still have my little exotic look going on because once again, I am having a bad hair day. I want to talk about rejection. Now, I know that this is a really sore point for a lot of women and men out there. I know personally what it's like to suffer from rejection, and I think that a lot of people think that just because you look a certain way, just because you dress a certain way, or you've got a certain amount of influence or whatever, or do a certain job, that you don't have this rejection. Your looks have nothing to do with the fact of whether or not somebody is going to accept you or not. Now, I personally have been bullied and rejected my whole entire life. In fact, when I was 15, I actually ended up moving schools because I was ostracized. I came to school one day and for no reason at all, my whole entire year had decided that they weren't going to talk to me anymore. But there you go. That's what happens when you are a teenager. Surely we're just all leaving that crap at school, but unfortunately it gets carried into adulthood as well. And more than anything, it gets carried into our love life. I mean, how many times have you been on a date and you've been rejected, or you've asked someone out and you've been rejected, or you've started seeing someone and then it just hasn't worked out? They've ghosted you, they've breadcrumbed you, or they've turned around and said that you're not the one for them. Does everyone want to raise their hand if they've ever been rejected before? I am a pro at knowing what it's like to feel rejected, and that's why I'm really passionate about helping you ladies and you guys know how to build that resilience to be able to bounce back and make sure that you don't allow that rejection to hinder you from having self-love, from having happiness, and from moving forward in your love life as well. So I want to give you 5 tips on how to bounce back from rejection. The first one is this: don't take it personally. Now, that is obviously easier said than done. When someone actually says, no, I don't want to date you, or no, I just don't want to commit to you, or you're just not the right person for me, or when a whole entire school decides not to actually talk to you, it's hard not to sit there and go, well, was it something I said? Was it something that I did? Basically, we turn all eyes in on ourselves and we do take it personally. But what you need to remember in this time, that someone else's treatment of you is not an indication of who you are as a person. You need to really decide in that moment when you're rejected that you are going to focus on who it is that you truly are. If you're someone who actually struggles with self-love, then this is an important thing that you need to actually focus on this year, because it really does help you decide who it is that you invite and tolerate in your life. But not only that, it gives you this resilience to know that you are more than what these people are saying that you are. And it almost is like this defense mechanism that you place around yourself, which kind of bars the bullying and the arrows, because you know that you're enough and you're not going to allow that person to determine your worth because you have already asserted that outside of them. Which brings me to point number 2. Remember your value. Now, often we get our value from what other people say, or we get our value from men, or we get our value from the acceptance of others, and hence why we struggle when people actually reject us. And it's something that I used to struggle with a lot. I used to try to always please people. I used to try to always especially be accepted and valued and loved by men, because I assumed that if I had that, then I had everything, or I would finally be happy. It wasn't until I actually learned that who I was enough, regardless of what I experienced or regardless of what anyone else said, that I was finally able to move forward. Your value has always remained the same. And whilst there are other inconsistent patterns and people in your life and treatments and behaviors that aren't good for you, it does not decrease your value. The third thing to do is focus on what you do have. Rejection is a reminder of what we don't have, okay? If we get rejected from that job, if we get rejected from that date, if we get rejected from something that we've been trying so hard about, it's almost like confirmation that we haven't reached that level. We don't have that thing that we really desire. So we focus on that. We focus on the lack rather than what it is that we do have in the abundance. It's important to shift your mind as soon as someone rejects you. we get stuck in that moment of rejection, and that's why we usually take longer to recover, and it's usually why we make silly decisions in that moment of rejection, where we all of a sudden go and shift our attention to somebody or anybody who does give us that acceptance, and then we end up connecting or being intimate or doing things that we later on regret because we just wanted that kind of short-term validation or that short-term distraction. Make sure that if you are being rejected, that you take the focus off the lack and you start to focus on what you do have right now in your hand. And I'm also talking about the fact that focus on who you are. Focus on what you have to offer. When someone doesn't want to date you, when someone doesn't want to have a relationship with you, we can instantly start to think, well, I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it is that is needed to be able to build a relationship. Look, we are the common denominators in our life, and it's important to know that we do contribute some way to the decisions in our life. But at the same time, you can be the most incredible person in the world and still have others reject you or bully you. So before you start to question who you are, instead start to assert who you know you are and what it is that you do have. Write a list of all the qualities that you love about yourself. Write a list of all the things that you do have in your world right now and pull your focus back to the abundance. The fourth thing to do is ask yourself, what can you learn from this event? And when it came to dating and constantly being rejected, I decided, well, maybe I was contributing to the situation. Maybe I was dating the wrong men over and over again. Maybe I was being too clingy. Maybe I was making them my purpose instead of actually being my own person. So use this pain as a purpose to work out what it is that you need to work on within yourself, whether it's your words, your actions, your thoughts, or maybe just the people that you engage with, so that you're not allowing this season to be just this awful sort of time in your life that just makes you feel completely deflated. You know, victory happens when we get up and we choose to keep fighting. But the difference is, if you don't want to keep visiting that same battle over and over again, it's good to know what it is that you can do differently each and every time. Let's not be afraid to examine ourselves. Let's not be afraid to admit that we can do some things wrong, or we've engaged with the wrong sort of people, or we have these self-sabotaging habits. Let's not be afraid to grow. Let's not be afraid to learn, so that we can actually have the acceptance, the joy, and the certainty in our life that we want. And lastly, go where you are celebrated. There is no point holding on to people trying to convince them that who you are is enough, because that is not your job. If they cannot see you for the golden person that you are, then they don't deserve your company. Putting your energy into people who don't actually value you is basically taking you down to their level. Go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. Get around people who actually recognize your worth. Get around people who actually enjoy your company, and start to build a network of people who actually are on the same page as you. Now, when it comes to dating, it doesn't mean that you need to go wherever you can get attention in order to be celebrated. I'm talking about the fact that you need to rebuild who you are before you decide you want to get back out there again. Because the last thing you want to do is start dating someone just because you have been rejected and you're trying to look for that acceptance in somebody else. Make sure that you are whole and healed first, and then date. Well, there you go, guys. I really hope that helped with some of the battles that you might have with rejection. Trust me, I know all about it. And my question to you is, what do you do to be able to bounce back from rejection? I want to hear all about it, because I think it's important that we share our tips and that we let other people know that we're not alone in our struggles. If you have any questions, send me an email to hello@reneeslansky.com. I love hearing from you all. Apologies if I can't get back to you all. I do literally get hundreds of emails. In the meantime, have an incredible week. Know that you are worthy, beautiful, and lovable. I accept you. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and tell a friend. You know, let's share the love here. Let's not keep it to ourselves. Let's actually change the dating culture. Let's change the self-love culture and make that viral for once. All right, I'm out for now. See you next time. Bye for now.